Hello, my name is Bart Brecka, and I am prepared to present a GSXR 600 front forks assembly using Creo 1.0. What I wanted to cover in this video is some of the differences between how high-end Pro Engineer users of the past run Pro Engineer and how they might adapt new workflow and functionality in Creo to make changes to models more precise modifications. A lot of managers learn to hate Pro Engineer and SolidWorks because users can't look them in the eye and say how long it's going to take to make a change. At Design Engine, we like to give people a workflow, a flow, or a process that can make estimates on changing models. Alright, first, before I want to start, I'm going to share the Design Engine blog, where we have a wide variety of jobs each day and various articles related to design and engineering. I'm going to click through to the training classes for a quick second and just say that at Design Engine we teach a wide variety of software packages, including ANSYS and Pro Engineer Creo with respect to plastic part design, die casting, and forgings. We even teach Photoshop classes. Now, in Creo, I wanted to just talk about some of the basics because I know as an engineer, when you fire up a software package, you really don't think you need a class. That's what you hire an engineer for, is to figure stuff out. And we like to think that engineers are above average intelligence, but still it's difficult to kind of wade through an interface and get productive on a tool in a fast, sort of efficient way. So what I'm going to do is just kind of talk about the interface some. I just closed the browser window. PTC has kind of set Pro Engineer up to be a communication tool, not a CAD tool. So I just wanted to kind of say that that's where you get to the internet, what have you. So I closed that out and turned it back on a couple times so you can see where that's at. The command search tool will be your friend when you're learning the tool. You really kind of need to be able to search for commands, what have you. There it is. Now I've turned off my ribbon on occasions and struggled to locate where to turn my ribbon back on. There it is. I'm going to set my working directory. Set working directory is through manage session. I've already set my working directory to our Design Engine Z drive so that I could locate my GSXR 600 assembly. Now I'm going to go file open and grab and segregate down to just the assembly, and now there's my front forks triple clamp. Now what I've done is I've just played around a little bit with how I visualize these geometries and piece parts. So I wanted to just show you that I've got shaded with the edges on. The default setting is without the edges shaded. I can have access to all my named views. I can also turn on and off all my datum planes at will. I'm going to leave the datum planes off for a moment. Now, when I left click on a part and say right hold down and open, I can open a part. And what I'm going to do is just open a handful of parts and show you how we in an assembly can page through the different geometries. Now I'm going to click back. I'm going to use this icon to click back over to my assembly. I'm going to left click, right hold down, and open the front fender and just look and let me share with you how this was built. Not a lot of time in a quick video, but I'm just going to show you that when I design something, I want to understand what it needs to make a clearance for, and in this case a front fender is probably surface modeled, and in this case it has to clear for a tire. So I lay out the tire so I can understand what I need to make clearance for. I'm going to go ahead and click on this boundary blend right here. What I've done is I've hover over the geometry and it turns green. I'm going to hover over the geometry and right click once or twice to page through the various features. I'm more of a visual person, so I use Pro Engineer in a visual way. I'm going to notice that I've got 4 boundaries to this 4-part boundary blend, and that's the basics of surfacing, really. It's just a sheet of paper. I'm going to check out of that boundary blend and now all the features have to unveil themselves. It's counting through ProEngineer Creo's regenerating through all the geometries. Okay, surfacing is one of those things that contractors come to Design Engine for, so that they can be the experts. We've trained the top surfacing experts at Harley, Nike, and various other manufacturers, Fisher-Price and Motorola. So I'm going to close out of this file just by hitting this icon over here, just one over. And let's look at the triple clamp model for 1 second. So this triple clamp was modeled in a very sort of mature way, a very Design Engine-esque modeling workflow. And I just want you to take note of these 3 features here. Those are sketches. And I'm going to go to Insert Mode and look at the sketch. The top sketch is basically just 2 circles. I'm going to edit definition on that curve, on those sketched geometries, just to show that this is how one might go about designing what a triple clamp needs to do. I know this feature. I don't necessarily need to use top-down design to create that. I know it needs to be 8.5 whatever inches across, so I make that the halfway number. Now, this other curve looks at those 2 curves, and the third curve is a culmination of all those geometries, and then this final feature, this protrusion, looks at that curve just beforehand here to obtain its shape. Now, this should be very easy for me to modify. I could have done this all in one feature, but what I did is I broke it up into 3 or 4 features to help me kind of make those changes in the future. At Design Engine, we like to say it's not how fast you model something, but how fast you change it 20 times that makes you an expert. Managers grow to love our types of engineers because they can look them in the eye and tell them how long it's going to take to make a change. I'm going to left click, right hold down here and cancel out of insert mode to resume the CNC machined version of this triple clamp. Now I'm going to close out of the triple clamp. And now let's look at this other part below here. This part looks like it might be too large, and the triple clamp looks like it might be too small. In a previous video, we've shown how to make modifications using a detail drawing as a tool as opposed to a detail drawing as a document control function. I'm going to click on this little rubber boot here, this grommet, and open it up and take a look at it. Now this model looks as though it's probably done from a more experienced ProEngineer user of the past. Notice how they just went in and just created the revolve. They knew what they needed. They just needed a sketch. And there's less features. It seemingly looks more simplistic when in fact this model is going to be pretty hard to make a change to. I'm just going to hit edit here and try to make a change to something. Change this to 3.35. Looks like it regenerated relatively well. If I wanted to make some other kind of significant changes, I need to really get down and look at the sketch because it's really kind of complicated. So I'm going to edit definition and take it back to the sketch and just take a quick look. I would have probably built the same geometry using underlying curve geometry because then I can stack up these underlying curves to help me leverage the parent-child constraints in ProEngineer. To illustrate that as an example, what I'm going to do is go to insert mode up here, turn on my datum planes, and sketch a box geometry on this plane. I was careful not to dimension to anything, and I'm going to reorder it ahead of time. Then I'm going to take and modify that underlying curve geometry. Notice how I can do all that in real time. It's like the regeneration button's been done away with. It just automatically regenerates. I did hit Control G at the end there to get it to update, but I could have just, as I make a modification, left click up here somewhere, and it still does the regeneration for you. So now I'm going to go ahead and redefine the revolve feature and take it back to the sketch. Hopefully I put my bounding box in the appropriate location. Okay, so ultimately I know I need to make my box just a bit smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that value there, and I'm going to use my alignment functions to kind of reassociate the alignments that I need to make. Let's just go ahead and delete that 35 there. So what I've done is I've tried to simplify my geometry and sort of tie it all to this underlying curve geometry. We do this quite a bit in our surfacing classes too, because I want to be able to make significant design changes to a model, and it can be really unwieldy. It's very difficult to make what would seemingly be a simple change. Now that I've done that, in Creo, I can take now, I probably should have, now I'm going to go back and redefine this and set this to a diameter dimension. So let's go ahead and put my center line in and dimension that appropriately. Left click, left click, left click, middle click. Now it's a diameter. That's because a center line does what it does best. It forces symmetry. Let's check out of that now and make diameter changes to the model. So let's just turn off the datum plane so I don't have to right click to query through those geometries, and I'm just going to grab that number and look how I get real-time update. So the high-end users don't tend to use underlying curve geometries, and they're going to kind of miss all the benefits of how Creo has been designed and ready for making changes. Remember, it's not how fast you make a change to a model. It's not how fast you model a product. It's how fast you can make changes to the model that makes you an expert user. So that's basically my presentation. Please consider coming to Design Engine in the near future, proetools.com, and thanks for listening to my video.